How we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. Tonight we are going to be speaking about the legendary Tom Brady calling it a career. Earlier today I did a show, and I found out during the show that Tom retired, so I did a little diversion of the original plan. Oddly enough, I was speaking about Tom Brady when I got the news, so it was well timed. We're going to speak on some of his greatest moments. We're also going to speak about the growing problems of the 49ers quarterback situation. The 49ers were a team that I alluded to earlier in my previous video as a team that may have been interested in Tom Brady. Obviously, that's not a possibility now. We're going to speak on the future of Brock Purdy, if the 49ers have a realistic chance of adding a superstar quarterback. It will take some money movement and possibly some players if they choose to go that route. We're going to speak on free agency and trade rumors for the NFL going into the 2023 season. We are also going to hit on something that is not a good stat, nothing that we want to see, but Zappy, you mentioned it to me about the CTE situation. I'd like for you to elaborate on that, please.
There's a book called the Fear of the NFL, and one of the doctors on there hit on the specifics of since 2001 there has been 44 former or current NFL players that have passed away, and when you hear that number, it's a scary thought to think about because
when you hear that age, it's comparable to professional wrestling. By the way, this is Michael Zappy. I actually, that is my fault because when I do my intros, I usually do the round robin and introduce Zappy. But because I actually asked him a question during my intro, that's what happens. So we call that a bit of a fumble, but a decent recovery. We're going to start it out.
Well, actually,
oh, look at this.
Yeah. So, Richie, as you were going to bring me in, this is the reason why I wanted to do a show tonight. Obviously, I want to cover the things we're going to cover, but your mom came up with a great idea and reached out to me last night.
Oh, really?
And she talked about, me getting a show to surprise you. And, well, I got to try calling you. Couldn't get a hold of you last night. Anyways, your mom wanted to just say something to you. Very nice. I want to say something to you today.
No, Mom, you're going to hang.
Day.
Mom, you're hanging briefly. You're going to hang briefly, at least for one segment.
Only if it's about TB.
Yeah, that's where we're starting the show.
Perfect.
That's where we're starting the show. What do you want to say, Mom? Even Yo Mama went over my head. I'm like, who's Yo Mama? I thought it was like
Yo Mama.
Yo Mama.
That's who it is. It's Yo Mama. Yo Mama for quite a while. And I am just extremely proud of you. I got to tell you, the show, you guys are just amazing. It's a lot of fun. I learn. I'm just so happy that Zappy is like one of the good ones. That's really important to us.
Always am.
That was pretty funny. That was actually pretty funny. The way that Quentin and Idris described that. I thought that was pretty funny. Mom, hang for a minute. We're going to hit on Tom Brady calling it a career.
Yeah, but before I do that, because time is of the essence today, and it is now 11:50 p.m. our time here. Zappy and I just wanted to, hey, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
It's your birthday, bro.
Happy birthday, dear Richie. From the Richie Hicks and your post podcast. Don't forget to like and share with your friends. Happy birthday to you.
So yes, everyone, it is Richie's birthday.
And of course, since we are this is a multicultural show, okay, it would not be right if I didn't just go ahead and say, Feliz en tu día. Mi hijo, que Dios te bendiga. Que reine la paz en tu vida. y que cumplas muchos más. Te amo. Okay, listen, I just want to thank Tom Brady for all the memories. It was great when Eli was his puppy. I think that was wonderful. I got it, and not only one time, but twice. Okay, so for that, I will be ever grateful. And let me tell you about those, what is it they call them? Them boys. They chased him. They literally chased him out of football. He said, "That's it.
Yes, we
The
did.
Cowboys beat me."
He
He's
had enough
Crazy
it's a
fighting
thing
wrap.
is,
confidence.
the first time that they beat Tom Brady, and that was it for him. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable how that happened because it was a team that he had never lost to until the final game of his career.
That's it.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty remarkable when you think about it like that.
it will. So now he has a daddy, our Eli, and I believe there's this young man in Dallas. Weird kind of first name, Mika, Micah, Muka, Mika.
Micah Parsons,
That's his name,
Penn
Micah
State. He
Parsons.
went to Jason's alma mater.
Yes, and I think he did así. So basically, he just got rid of him. And it makes me happy because, I'm tired of seeing that guy on the football field. Yeah, I've
Fair
been
enough.
tired of seeing him, and that's it. You know? Let me see who else we can get rid of. No, we're doing pretty good with everybody else. And Richie,
Off
all I want to
camera,
say,
off
huh?
camera, she'll probably say that she wants to see Aaron Rodgers leave next, but he will be a Jet.
He's going to be a Jet.
He
Aaron
will be a
Rodgers
Jet.
will be, I think Aaron Rodgers will be a Jet.
And
Okay.
and he will wear
And
number 12. Namath gave him the green light to wear number 12.
that's right. That's right. Broadway Joe is going to give him number 12. I hope he doesn't make him wear stockings and a fur coat to boot, but that should be very interesting. That should be very interesting.
Shout
But
out Jim. Shout out cousin Jim Lodato. I know that he's
yeah,
probably going to be very excited if his Jets should acquire Aaron Rodgers. And I also wanted to make a mention. I spoke to my sister Nicole today,
yeah,
and I'm going to just quote her.
mm,
I don't care. She says,
yeah.
"I support the Raiders because of Charlie, but quite frankly, I think the Raiders kind of suck." Sorry, Uncle Randy. And I told her, I said, man, you should go back to the Jets because wouldn't that be a bitch that all these years that you suffered and supported them,
I
and now
know.
you kind
I
of take a
know.
diversion for your
Mm-hmm.
for
Yep.
for your other half,
Yep. Yep.
and
Yep.
they might be
Yep.
hoisting one in the near future too because you got two teams in
That's
MetLife
right.
Stadium that are both going to be in the mix for the better
Yeah.
part of the
Yeah.
next few years
Yeah. That's right.
after a
That's
decade
right.
of both being
Yeah.
terrible.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. That's
It's
right.
kind of like
But
seeing the AFC and NFC East.
Yeah, for sure.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Both divisions are back.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's what I see going on. I'm just happy that I got to see the video of the boy leaving Tampa, wherever he's leaving, wherever he's going, you know.
He's
So
going to the Fox studio, and he's going to make a lot of money. Let me tell you, that man took a lot of
A
pay
lot of
yes,
cuts.
money.
Married
he's
to a
gonna make a
supermodel
lot
all
of
those
money.
years. She was the
He,
breadwinner. He was in a position where he could take a lot of pay cuts, but I believe it's like
yeah,
325 million or something like that.
325 over 10 years, I believe.
So I believe that broke the Tony Romo record that he set with CBS because Romo was making some big money in his own right, and that was a nice
yeah,
move from Fox strategically to combat the CBS move because the consensus amongst most football fans is that Tony Romo is the best. He's entered that Pat Summerall,
hmm
John Madden layer
hmm
of being the best color commentator. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Because
right,
Lord knows it's not Joe Buck, and it
no.
certainly isn't
Oh my
Chris
God,
Collinsworth.
there's such a mess in this garage.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's a
And,
mess. I had to go in the garage because my husband fell asleep. He was waiting. He was waiting. He was waiting, but After a
Yeah.
while, not even Derek Jeter kept him up tonight, being on Jimmy Fallon.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? I'll check that out. Thanks for mentioning that. I'll
he's
go on YouTube and check it out.
going to be on Jimmy Fallon tonight. Yeah,
Very cool. I'm going to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
And another one of similar to Derek Jeter, Michigan alum. Tom Brady calls it a career. Zappy and I are each going to pick a couple of his greatest moments. I'm going to start with an easy one to me, the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. Down 28-3 at the half. That's 4 scores and 1 more. 25-point lead. Insurmountable, it seemed. I'm going to quote my late father. I could curse if I'm quoting him. Fuck this game. I'm going to bed. This game's over.
Yeah.
So my dad woke up and he was not too pleased to see that Tom Brady put another one on his finger, or was going to get another one on his finger. That was the season also that Tom Brady was suspended. Ultimately vindicated in the Deflategate situation. It did go to the Supreme Court. Personally, I'm going to say this about Commissioner Goodell. I think that he had a hard-on with Brady over the situation in Spygate, because when Goodell took over the NFL seat, his seat wasn't even hot yet. He wanted that to go away immediately, because they always say you put everything to the side if it means protecting the shield and the integrity of that league. Rob Manfred, take a page out of that. And I'm not into defending Goodell much, but Rob Manfred did one of these to AJ Hinch. I will say this, though.
I almost said it, but go ahead. Never mind.
I will say this, though. I do believe that ultimately Brady's vindicated in that situation. It was kind of comical seeing Goodell have to hand the trophy over to Bob Kraft, because there was a lot of heat there. But yeah, that undeniably has to be, in my opinion, Tom Brady's greatest accomplishment. There are many of them, but overcoming and erasing the biggest lead in Super Bowl history against Matt Ryan and the Falcons, oddly enough, the Minnesota Vikings earlier this year, against the same Matt Ryan, made the greatest comeback in regular season history. So Matt Ryan's just been on the wrong side of a lot of these things. Not his fault. The man doesn't play defense. But unbelievable that. Zappy, give me one that stands out to you with Tom Brady over the course of his career.
I mean, I think you got to go all the way back to where it started. If you think about it, when you think about when Tom Brady was drafted, and he was drafted to back up Drew Bledsoe. That was Drew Bledsoe's team, and insert his second year in NFL, and he replaces Drew Bledsoe and not only gets them into the Super Bowl right after 9/11, but then he's facing the greatest show on turf.
Who were on the verge of starting their own dynasty.
And on the verge of, exactly. And no one gave the Patriots a chance in that game. Everyone thought, no, this Rams team is going to run all over them. And the Patriots had them on the ropes the whole game. Even after when Kurt Warner throws the ball deep to Isaac Bruce, they still, Brady took over. And to watch him orchestrate that final drive and to set up Anna Vinatieri for the game-winning kick, which actually ended up being the first of 3 times that pretty much happened.
Yeah, he was their hero 3 different games. Yeah,
he was their hero, and it was that night a Patriot was born. And
yeah, absolutely, he earned his stripes that night. I do want to say this: we talk about how the Mo Lewis hit on Drew Bledsoe changed the trajectory of NFL history, because Tom Brady finished the game against the Jets. They didn't win. And then the very next week, his first start was against the great Peyton Manning, which evolved into one of the greatest rivalries in NFL history. But I'm going to take it back about 11 years before that. Actually, a decade, more or less, a decade before that. Leonard Marshall of the New York Giants knocking out our guy from Notre Dame, Joe Montana, the legendary Joe Montana, and changing the trajectory of that. And you and I, Zappy, have spoke on how the 49er dynasty died that night. There will be no three-peat, the legendary words of Pat Summerall. Giants win that. But ultimately, and I said this to you before, I think it expedited the Cowboy dynasty, because you guys had Steve Young's number. We know this. But I'm not sure if you guys would have had Joe's number. I think it might have been one of those deals where similar to our Week 17 matchup in '93. Lawrence Taylor, his last stand there. The Dan Reeves Giants. I do believe that it would have been an aging Niners team, upstart Cowboys team, but there would have been some great wars. He still got the great wars, but I think it would have been a little longer had Joe not taken that vicious hit from Leonard Marshall. Fortunately, Joe was able to reclaim his career, go to KC. Why am I talking about Joe? Well, because I was Tom Brady's hero. Tom Brady was in attendance as a young man for the catch against your Dallas Cowboys. You were not born yet, nor was I, or I was like, I don't know, I had like a baby teeth, maybe. What year was it? No, I wasn't alive yet. No, I was not alive yet. No,
I think that's called a glimmer in your mama's eye.
Yeah. Somebody NFL Films, so they've done such a great job. Shout out Steve Sable, NFL Films. They've always had such a great job of just illustrating the history of the league, and then NFL Network takes it a step further. You got the America's Game. But so you're saying his initial debut, Mom, I'm going to throw one at you.
Why?
2007. Giant Stadium. Tom Brady comes from behind to defeat the New York Giants to pull off an undefeated regular season, the first team to do that since the 72 Dolphins. Do you believe that should be included as one of his top 3 accomplishments? Because at the end of the day, they were the first team to do it in a 16-game slate.
Yes.
Albeit, a lot of people, when they talk about greatest teams of all time, some have the audacity to still put the 07 Patriots on that list, and I get it. The team won 18 out of 19 games. When your only loss is the Super Bowl,
it's a Super Bowl.
It's hard to argue with a team's greatness, even if you didn't bring home the brass. The greatest team to not win a Super Bowl is that team for that particular season.
That's correct.
And I would, got some.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But it was so delicious. It was just the only thing that I can compare it to is when I was at Yankee Stadium as a really, really young kid, and Mickey Mantle came in on a horse, and they honored him. Other than that, us beating them, us the Giants, like I played for them, the Giants beating them in that Super Bowl, to me, those are the 2 best when it comes to those sports.
From a level of an upset, I would say that what the Giants pulled off rivals what Team USA did against the Russians. I think it rivals what James Busted Douglas did against an invincible Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
I think it rivals Brett Bandick getting a game-winning touchdown in high school and getting the name Brett Touchdown Bandick. Brett's going to be reinstated in the near future. He's pretty.
Yay! Oh, my petition worked. Yay!
For the viewers, I just want to say why. For 2 years in a row, Tom Brady has decided to retire on my birthday. My New York Giants are one of the few teams that can say that he never scarred us, and we beat him twice. Brett loves the Patriots. I said, bring him back. This is a sign.
Bring him back. It's a sign.
We gave him a suspension. But in the end and down the road in history, they might look at me like he gave him a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
Would they even call it that?
He is taking me to the Knicks game in a few days. I didn't bring him back.
Yeah. And the Knicks should win since they won't be home.
And shout out to Brett's wifey, Brenda. She's going to be our driver, so that's the MVP
right
there.
Get him, Brenda. You're my girl.
That's the MVP right there.
Yeah, she's the MVP for sure.
But wrapping it up with Tom Brady before I let Mom get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this. I said it earlier today. I'm going to reemphasize it. I think the measure of a true champion is not what you do when things are great. I think it's what you do when things aren't always the best. One thing that I will always say about Tom Brady, and I'm going to applaud him for this, He always took pay cuts to make his teams better. And he overcame probably the most crushing defeat in the history of the league. Talking about that Super Bowl 42, he was a big enough man to make humor about it 2 years later in Entourage. He was a big enough man to also come back from tearing his knee the very first game, the very next year after losing. And, one thing that I got to say is one thing with greatness, another word that goes with it is patience. And I think Tom Brady exhibited a lot of those great qualities. Like him or not, I do think that we need to honor him in the sense of understanding that we're never going to see another one quite like him. And congrats on a phenomenal career, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I got to see him. I'm happy that I got to see him and Eli. Unfortunately, they beat us that night. But you know what? I'll take those 2 Super Bowls off over that loss.
Yeah.
It's crazy too because
you got to see him this year.
Yeah, I only went to the Buccaneers game this year because I told myself this is going to be it. This is my last opportunity to ever see Tom Brady play an NFL game live. So I took my son with me, and granted we lost the game 19-3, but just to be there in the presence.
I think you'll trade it in for the playoff win.
Oh, I'll trade it in all day for the playoff result.
All day.
But still being there for that moment to be able to see him live finally, it was, it was like, it was an unbelievable moment.
I'm not going to lie, dude. I'm not going to lie. Seeing him live, I don't get in awe of a lot of players. And I'll be the first to admit that I think I may have taken Derek Jeter for granted just because I was such a Don Mattingly fan and I was the captain before him. And I was a little older too. Maybe that had something to do with it. But I got to say, dude, when I saw Tom Brady, and it's like, it's the Giants. It's the Patriots. We got 2 Super Bowls worth of history. It's our first meeting since the 2011 game, 2012 game, 2011 season. I'm like, it's almost like a lot of opponents from Michael Jordan used to make the joke. They're like, yo, dude, that's Black Jesus right there. In this regard, when I'm looking at Tom Brady, I'm not going to say he like that, but I will say you knew that this guy was on a different stratosphere in terms of just greatness alone. And I said this to one of my good friends, big Patriots fan, Stephen Redlon. I said, what meant more to me about winning those 2 Super Bowls is not just that we won, but that in addition to beating one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, Bill Belichick, who started with the Giants, to also beat the greatest winner in Super Bowl history, the greatest winner in the history of all quarterbacks, it definitely validates what you did. To do it twice, that's saying something. So in order for it to mean that much, you also got to, take a look at who you beat. And we literally beat the best. So shout out to Tom Brady. Much luck on your next endeavor.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's officially pen to paper, but I'm going to say this. I would like to see him reclaim his family.
That would be awesome.
But I don't believe that's going that way because I don't know the validity or the truth to this, but I heard he was with a woman half his age. And I guess
and she's with a Brazilian jiu-jitsu
that could kick his ass. Okay, never mind.
He's hot.
It's over.
No, I would say it's over that Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
My nephew does jiu-jitsu. So, Poppy, if you stay the course, Aiden, if you stay the course, you can get you a Giselle.
Yes, he can. But why would he want one?
No,
he can do so much better. So much better than a Giselle.
I'm just putting it in perspective. I mean,
he can have one. Yeah.
Good answer.
Anyway, yeah. But anyway, Zappy, it was great meeting you.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much for everything.
We've spoken many times, but
yes, but I feel like I finally met you.
I know,
Rich,
it's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, listen, just keep doing what you do. Follow your passion. That's all I gotta say. Just follow your passion. And no matter to both of you, life sucks. It knocks you down. It kicks you in the ass. But get up. What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna clown Idris for not showing up tonight.
Oh, hey, where's Mr. I?
Mr. I is on his 12th dream, I think. He was putting in some work today. 2 hours on the Casual Convo show. Shout out
Yes, I
Coco.
know.
They got a great show. They really do. I felt bad that I couldn't get out of work in time. I would have liked to at least make a drop in. But
yeah, well, I can go now. I can join. I can check out the show now
yeah, for
because
sure.
I've been on yours. I had
For
to
sure.
do yours first.
For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. But
All
again,
right,
you know, Zappy, thank you so much.
No
Good
problem.
night, guys. I'm gonna go and
Good
wake up
night.
my husband from his nap so that he can go to bed.
for good theater, you might want to take us to the living room. Be like, think he's getting
I
robbed or
would.
something.
I would, but
I don't want to get
so-
sued. You know, I don't want to get sued by my
he
own
might sue
stepfather.
you. He might sue you. He might
Yeah.
sue you.
It's good
You
reason.
know? What's worse, he might divorce me.
Nah,
Never
are you kidding me?
Never mind. Yeah, who's gonna cook, right?
I'm not going to insinuate that he likes her as much as he maybe did once upon a time. But one thing I know, he ain't leaving that cooking.
No, he ain't leaving that. He's not leaving that kitchen. He's not leaving the kitchen. Okay. Again, good night, Zappy. Get rid
good
of me
night.
as if I was a wags.
Ooh!
Bam.
Hey,
Peace.
Oh my gosh.
that was awesome.
Oh, that's one of the
Yeah.
top moments of 2023.
Yeah, I wonder if she's from Brooklyn. Ma, you got to hit leave studio. That you have that option on your side.
Oh, she wants us to kick her out.
Oh, it's Bed-Stuy. And by the way, I was born in this. Well, no, Michael Jordan and
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson were born in the same hospital that I was born in.
That is a fact.
Oh, wow,
That
that's
is
awesome.
their claim to fame.
Yeah, that is
Not
a
mine.
fact. That is a fact.
Yes,
Huh.
it's verified. I can check. I will show you the birth certificate one day. I don't want to leave. I want to be kicked out like a wag.
Since it is your birthday, Richie, I will let you handle this one.
Bye, Ma. Love you.
Dios te bendiga.
All right. That was cool. That was really cool. The growing problems of the 49ers quarterback situation and why it might get worse before getting better. I'm going to speak on it from a financial standpoint, Zap. Obviously, Tom Brady's off the table. We know this. But Lamar Jackson, you were the one who actually first brought up the idea, but we both have done our bit of research into diving into what the trajectory would be, what their ceiling would be with money. It would take players. It would take a lot of maneuvering. Why is this Brock Purdy injury such a big deal? Garoppolo's on the way out. Trey Lance won't be ready for the beginning of the year. Lamar makes so much sense in terms of what Kyle Shanahan brings from a coaching standpoint. I think he can make him a better quarterback too. But let me ask you this, and I said this on my show this morning. When a team wants a guy, they're going to get him no matter what. Do you think the 49ers could make this happen, you know, similar to how Howie Roseman does his magic and makes things happen?
Yes. Here's why. This 49er team is built around their defense.
Okay,
And
good point.
When I say that, they have stars at every position on that defense with the exception of the secondary. And when you look at what has really stopped you from getting to the next level, it's been the play at quarterback. Whether even when they were in the Super Bowl or at the NFC title game, whatever the case was, even this year, as soon as Purdy goes down, that team looked different again. Now we know Brock Purdy has to have his Tommy John surgery, so it's going to be at least a year before he's back. So now you're looking at the 2023 season with Trey Lance, like you said. So you're going to have to think about a guy like a Nick Bosa, or maybe, you know, where you give Baltimore a call, and it's going to have to be a sign and trade type deal instead of a trade then
This
sign.
is like a very weird one because in the NFL, it's always draft capital, or even in MLB, like say if the Yankees or the Dodgers or somebody's going to pillage a crappy team, they're going to throw them minor leaguers and get their guy. But it's very rare in the NFL that you see star power for star power. That's very
Yeah.
NBA-like. Once in a while MLB-like, once in a while NHL-like, but damn near never NFL-like. But the NFL is changing in that regard too, where the franchise tag, the elusiveness of the two different ways you can franchise a player, the advantages versus the disadvantages, like this is a growing thing now that's going to be happening more in the NFL now, similar to basketball.
Yeah, it is.
How many times do you hear about signing trades in basketball? Quite often.
It seems like every other day, really. It's the same with baseball. But, you know, when you're in the position like the 49ers and you look at your draft capital, well, you spent a fortune to get Trey Lance, and
Indeed.
you haven't gotten anything out of him. You have to look at what's your strength. And the fact is their strength is on the defensive side, and they can afford to trade a guy like a Nick Bosa because they'll still have Greenlaw and Fred Warner, which honestly I believe the defense runs around them.
That would be wild, though,
you because
if they actually dealt him.
And it would have to be something like that, where it'd be a first for next year or 2 years, but a Nick Bosa. It would have to be a start.
Because it's not going to be a Debo.
In order for them, it's not going to be a Debo.
It's not going to be a CMC, because that defeats the purpose of what they just brought him in for.
Right. It's also, we need to know what Baltimore's doing. I know they keep saying this and that, but that marriage makes a lot more sense than Aaron Rodgers does, or bringing back Jimmy G, because I don't think Jimmy G will come back.
What if they really did something wacky and did like a Lamar and Mark Andrews for a George Kittle and a Nick Bosa? That'd be friggin' wacky.
Ooh, I don't know. That would be interesting.
Because that is his tight end. I'm not going to sit here and say that they got the same kind of rapport as Brady and Gronk, but I mean, it's at least a first cousin, you know?
Well, there's a reason why Mark Andrews was the number one.
Yeah, you gotta acknowledge that.
Yeah, and I believe he is now taken the step onto the top tier.
No doubt. And
you know, so it's
the game plan calls for it, especially when you look at over the years, Baltimore not having that number one. But look at what's happening in KC. A team that's playing in the Super Bowl. They do not have a legitimate number one, but they have a tight end with wide receiver features in Travis Kelce, the best tight end currently in the NFL. Yeah, no, but you also have Andrews in the conversation, as you just alluded to.
And honestly, when you really break it down, it's one of those, if you're going to make a trade for a Lamar Jackson, you're going to include Trey Lance in that trade too, which is going to be something where
I would have to consider that that's got to be it. But you still got to make the money make sense, because Trey ain't making none yet.
Exactly, and that's where you included the Nick Bosa. So the Trey Lance is the reason, because it gives them the opportunity to go young without wasting using their first round pick this year. They get a guy who we
still got Huntley in the mix. You still got Huntley over there,
and
who
is now in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, go figure. Yeah, so a lot of ways this could turn, and it's going to be something that we keep our eyes glued to for sure. I mean, the New York Jets are going to be linked to him. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers just makes more sense based on a personnel thing. Atlanta, they got Ritter. I don't know if they would, quit on him that quick, but I've seen it happen with Josh Rosen and Kyler Murray, so we're going to stay tuned. Free agency and the trade rumors for the NFL 423. We're going to discuss it. We have very much so. Even Mom said she thinks Aaron Rodgers will be a New York Jet. I think we are in unison on that. Let's talk about a different guy. Jimmy Garoppolo. Where you got him going?
The only place that makes sense. There's a team out in the South that just won the division, lost in the wild card to the Dallas Cowboys that just lost their quarterback today. So they need someone. And when you look at the system they have in place there, even though they fired Byron Leftwich, the system around them that's a system designed for a Jimmy Garoppolo to come in and win in Tampa Bay. So I think that's the place that makes the most sense. I would think second would be the Indianapolis Colts, but I think they have gone with the direction that they're going to obviously draft the quarterback at the number 4 position, assuming they don't trade up. But the Colts are going to be another team that they need to go out there. Matt Ryan wasn't the answer. Phillip Rivers wasn't the answer. Carson Wentz wasn't the answer. They might bring in a Jimmy G to use as a bridge for maybe the first 6 weeks even. But I think Ryan Tannehill makes more sense there. But anyways, so I think the Colts are in second place as to who could land Jimmy Garoppolo this offseason.
Good friend of the show, Sergio Rodriguez of the Sergio Rodriguez Show. I like his hot takes on Instagram. He made a good point. He's talking about the Jets with the Rodgers thing. He says, if you want to be a Super Bowl contender, this is a trade you absolutely have to make. He said, with Carr, with a Garoppolo, you could win 10 to 12 games, but you will not win when it counts most, which is the postseason. But he's like, you get yourself an Aaron Rodgers with that defense they got, that running game they got, the receivers they got, the coach they got. Now you're at the dinner table. Now you're banging on the door. Now you are a legitimate Super Bowl contender. And I said this. It's funny. I said off air to my mother, I've said this too, I've said this to some friends of the show, that I feel that even though the Giants made the playoffs and even though the Giants have a coach that may very well win Coach of the Year, they have a nice little trajectory where they are right now. I do think the Jets are more set up for instant success if they get themselves the right quarterback because of the fact that they do have that elite defense and they do have a running game. Breece Hall, God willing, comes back healthy enough. Yeah, the Jets are going to be a problem. Absolutely.
And it's crazy, too, because when you think about Zach Wilson, that was one of the guys he was being compared to coming out of the draft, was Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, you figure that out.
So you bring in an Aaron Rodgers. I think that would be a move that might actually save Zach Wilson's career, believe it or not, even though he's getting a quarterback that does not like to.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what he was exposed to when he was young, where Favre didn't really want to deal with him. So I do believe that.
Yeah.
That could be it. But then again, change of scenery. You're winning. Things are looking right. You know that this is your last stop. Who knows? He might be a little more approachable and more down to be that kind of teammate because, Aaron Rodgers, in terms of how he behaves and what to expect, is that I've learned to not expect anything because you never really know with him. What I do know is that he's still one of the best quarterbacks in this game.
It feels like Joe Montana all over again with this one. That's what it feels like. He goes to that Jets team. They're in the AFC Championship game discussion.
No, I really believe that.
Like we said,
I had this conversation with a few people, but I think that the biggest thing that has held back the Jets going all the way back to the Bill Parcells era is quarterback because they had that guy in Vinny Testaverde for a short window. They were coming off an AFC title game against Denver the next year. Vinny Testaverde ruptures his Achilles week 1. They were the favorites that year. Fast forward to Chad Pennington. They never quite had the team with Chad. They were always good, but not good enough. Now you fast forward to the Rex Ryan era. They were good enough, but they didn't have the quarterback. And Brett Favre played the year before.
Yeah, they had Mr. Butt Bubble.
Brett Favre played there 1 year, and I've always said this. If he hung around, wanted to get revenge on Green Bay, the best way to do it would have been to stay with the Jets because he would have probably saw Green Bay in the Super Bowl. But I don't want to harp on the Jets any much longer because somebody might have that runs into this by accident might think I'm a Jet fan. I don't want that. All right, so we hit Carr. Where do you see him going?
The first place I have him going to is the Indianapolis Colts.
I tend to agree.
They're going to draft a quarterback, but we already know they're going to sign a quarterback or trade for a quarterback.
He is the right Band-Aid, so to speak.
He is the right Band-Aid, and this is like we've been saying, this is what you're going to get with Derek Carr. So going out there and getting a Derek Carr on the Colts team, which is, in my opinion, I think they're a win-now team. It's just they had a lot of unfortunate events happen this year. Their offensive line played hurt a lot of the year.
Yeah, we might turn around and say that they're going to be okay again. Because I've been fooled. The thing with them is since Andrew Luck, quarterback has been a revolving door in Indy. That has been their issue. It's been a revolving door from Carson Wentz, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz. Brissett had a cup of coffee after Luck, retired right before the season. So a lot of fantasy managers were very pissed off. A lot of Colts fans are very pissed off because, this was after the NFL draft already. It really.
Colts fans have had enough.
Well, I mean, you got Johnny U, you got Peyton, Harbaugh. They've had their share of good quarterbacks. Andrew Luck, as we just stated.
I'm saying since Andrew Luck. I'm sure they've had enough with this Mickey Mouse. Get someone, fill them in, and we'll go to the next one.
Brandon Ayuk, DeAndre Hopkins, Odell Beckham Jr. Who do you want to start with? Where do you got them going?
Whew, man, let's start. Well, let's start with the biggest name of them all. Everyone would say OBJ, but I'm going to say DeAndre Hopkins. This is a guy who's still in the prime of his career. Obviously, we saw his production go down last year, but a lot of it that because of the fact that he was suspended for the first 6 games of the NFL season. Still put up great numbers, and this was also while missing Kyler Murray for some of those games because of his torn ACL. So, you think of a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, who the Cardinals have said they will look to trade this offseason.
Right, right.
There's teams that make a lot of sense. If you were Green Bay and you were going to keep Aaron Rodgers, I think DeAndre Hopkins there makes a lot of sense. But because of him leaving the Packers, I think it's going to be down to a couple of teams, one of them being in New York. That's your team. I think the Dallas Cowboys will be another team that are going to be in on the race. And I think the New England Patriots are the other one because while I don't think Mac Jones is the answer, I think they know that if they can get someone like a D-Hop into that lineup, it might just help out Mac Jones a little more. And really, because they have a great defense already.
I mean, we did see glimpses, and in the beginning of the year, this was really a joke. Over the course of the year, we found out that it wasn't all comical. He had a nice little rapport with Devontae Parker.
Uh-huh.
And I liked what I saw from Mac Jones in year one. This particular year, not as much, but I also try to be empathetic, I guess you could say, or understanding that this kid has not had a lot to work with on offense. He does have 2 quality running backs, I'll say that. Decent enough offensive line. I also think that the Patriots were underutilizing the 2 very talented tight ends in Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. But ultimately, this is a Patriot team that needs to get this receiving situation right because the honest answer is that receiving room hasn't been right since the 2019 season. And that's back when Brady was still there. So, yeah, I could see 3 teams for D-Hop. The Jaguars, the Cowboys, my team, the Giants. Those are the 3 that stand out to me that could snag him, trade for him, I should say there. Odell, after the back and forth with the Cowboys, I would still say that there is a possibility. But I'm going to go on a limb and say that the favorite to land Odell is actually the Buffalo Bills.
I think because of the way the season ended for Buffalo, and what we saw with Josh Allen and how the year ended.
And obviously, he and Von Miller low-key had a nice little rapport going, too.
They did. And also, but the thing that worries me is we see this news with Brock Purdy and all when the Josh Allen injury happened, which also was his UCL area, it was one of our biggest concerns.
Right.
And we saw it on full display to close the year. I don't know if OBJ...
Masahiro Tanaka was always afraid, when's his arm going to fall off?
Yeah, so and for that reason, I don't know if this is a scenario where we're going to see an OBJ go there because I think we might see. I don't want to say we're going to see it, but the thought of Stephon Diggs getting traded is still lingering in the back of my mind, especially after he has gone off about Josh Allen from that loss to the Bengals. So
I don't think they're going to trade him over it, though.
Oh well, we'll see. We'll see. But I think the 2 teams, I think it's going to come down to the 2 teams that played on Thanksgiving in Dallas and New York. I personally think it's going
I'll add Buffalo. Those are the 3. I got to give Buffalo at least like a chance there. Because he does bring something that they need, which is a better receiver opposite of Stephon Diggs than what they currently have.
See, and I'll put Baltimore in there before Buffalo just because if they do keep Lamar,
that makes sense. That makes sense. They tried it with Dez. He had a little bit of success, but clearly not the same player that Dallas had. And that could very well be a thing where Lamar just ends up staying put after all this fiasco. But I do think that the biggest chip, which is Aaron Rodgers, is going to dictate a lot of the rest of all of it. And,
Absolutely.
With the Sean Payton hire, that kind of got buried in the news quickly because of the Tom Brady situation. I said it. Bad. They're going to be so bad before they get back to being good. That's all I'm going to say. They got to be patient there.
And I think, honestly, with this offseason, I think the DeAndre Hopkins trade is going to be what sets everything else off after that, wherever he ends up. And if D-Hop ends up with a team like the Giants, then I see Dallas immediately going out and getting OBJ or getting trading for Brandon Cooks.
I personally, out of the two players, I like them both, but I think Brandon Cooks would just be better for your team. That's my personal
Absolutely.
opinion.
Oh, I 100%
But I
agree.
like both players. Ayuk. Oh, I want to mention this. Doug Rush, Giants wires. He's been there for years. Covered the Giants 13 of the last 18 years, basically. I enjoy a lot of his posts. Very knowledgeable Giants fan. He made a mention that with Tampa now, you're going to have guys that could be available to a team like my team that needs a receiver, to a team like your team. Mike Evans could potentially be tradable, given that Tampa, we don't know yet what they want to do. We don't know if they want to completely blow it up or if they want to try to stay in the mixture of being relevant. That will be revealed. But if Tampa blows it up, they may very well part from a guy like Mike Evans, which would be a huge hit, a huge add-on for a lot of teams, your team and my team alike.
And it's crazy you say that because I didn't even think about those guys because if
I
there's
certainly
ever
didn't until today. Because once again, we're still just absorbing this Tom Brady news. Thank you, Brett.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
And it's it's one of those. If you're Tampa Bay, if there was ever a time to blow it up, it would be now because the Panthers blew it up. They're not ready
They
right
certainly
now.
did.
You could say that you could say that division would probably belong to the Saints for the next 2 years.
Well, you would think if they can figure out their quarterback situation, then yes. Because Andy Dalton's not it. Jameis Winston's been getting jerked. Taysom Hill's not an every down quarterback. So who the hell knows?
So the team that's probably even closer would be Atlanta, but we don't even know with them. They might be drafting the quarterback this year or trading for a Lamar Jackson.
Derek Carr to the Saints is another possibility.
Oh, that'd be an interesting one, but they'd have to make the money work. That's the only thing, which I believe there's going to be a trade they try to orchestrate with the Denver Broncos for Mike Thomas. Because if there's one thing, Sean Payton loved him.
That is true. Mike Thomas, Russell Wilson, Jerry Jeudy, could be interesting.
So, but I think Brandon Ayuk, it's two teams. I think it's going to be he re-signs with the 49ers or he goes to my surprise team, the Arizona Cardinals, because the Arizona Cardinals need to fix their receiving core. Larry Fitzgerald, AJ Green, he's
done, dude.
He's too old. They're gonna trade D-Hop.
What does that leave? Robbie Anderson?
They need to have Robbie Anderson and Rondale Moore.
Zach Ertz.
Because
not that he's like a huge chip, but he was such a good player for so many years. He has come to my mind, and I'm saying to myself, damn. Yeah, Brett, I tend to agree, but once again, they're going to have to make the money work. That is the one holdup similar to what we were talking about earlier with the Lamar to San Francisco. Zach Ertz, what I was getting at is got to feel for him a little because he was an Eagle for so long, and I was watching them do this without him. But granted, he was there for 17. But this is the other thing. He can still help a team. And I'm saying to myself, is he going to get out of Arizona?
Man.
Because why would I don't see the value in them keeping him.
They brought him in for the reason to make another run after last year.
Right. That's the same reason they brought J.J. Watt. They went in on some veterans. But now dude, this is a team that 1 short year ago was 9-1. And then the wheels came off. Mm-hmm. And now you got Kyler Murray, more known for playing Call of Duty than for studying playbooks. It's been quite the plight.
Fiasco.
And you know what? This all started, in my opinion, even sooner when they gave up on Steve Wilkes. Carolina might suffer this. Yeah, he's a good coach, dude. I hope he lands on his feet because he's a good coach, and we discussed this in detail about the flaws of the Rooney Rule, the flaws of a lot of questionable decision making when it comes to coaches of color. That's all I'm going to say, because if I go any further than that, I'm going to start getting irritated. Before we get out of here, Zappy, is there anything else that you want to speak on or anything on your brain?
No, just it's February 1st. in my opinion, it's the start of the greatest month. We started off on your birthday and we finished it on
Pretty
mine.
dope.
So that's what I love about February. Super Bowl is coming up here in about 10
Yeah.
days now,
Yeah.
9 days. It's just football's coming to an end, but I'm excited. I got tickets ready for the first home game for the San Antonio Brahmas in XFL football. So it's, like there's things to look forward to. But yeah, as far as today,
Pitchers
man,
and
all I wanna
catchers
say
are
is
reporting in 2 weeks, dude.
that's right. There's more things we're
We
going to
got
have
the
to talk
NBA
about.
playoffs and the NHL playoffs on the horizon.
They're heating
A
up.
little more
The
confident in
trade
my
deadline.
Rangers than in my Knicks, but I am going to be seeing the Knicks with Gretzky in Amway. And I expect the Knicks win. We're the second best team in the East on the road. I just wish they could match that at home, and we'd be in a really nice place right now.
And I was watching that Laker game last night, too,
Oh,
for the Knicks. And I was like, come on. And they go to overtime. I'm like, nah, that's it.
Yeah. The Knicks, they're an interesting bunch. That's all I really got on them. But I will say this, Jalen Brunson is a boss.
He looks good. I think I still think they need another piece, but
they should have friggin' made that deal for Donovan Mitchell. I don't care what Utah wanted. Guys, we haven't won a championship in over 5 decades. You worried about draft capital when you get Donovan Mitchell and pair him with R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Jalen Brunson? Come on, fellas. What are you guys thinking? You got former league MVP,
lots of talk.
Derrick Rose not getting minutes. Yeah, I hate to see it like that. He's one of my favorite players.
I do. He was
special.
My favorite player. I'll never forget. It's crazy. We have time. Yeah, I'll never forget the night he got hurt against Philadelphia. I was actually getting ready for my deployment to Kuwait, and we were at the Baltimore airport at BWI, and I'm watching the game in one of the bar areas. And then to see Derrick Rose come down and get hurt, my heart stopped, it seemed like. And I'm like, no way.
Kind of knew it was never going to be the same. And there's other players. There's other players that were on the cusp of greatness that this happened to. You talk about Grant Hill is one that stands out. You talk about a Penny Hardaway, one that stands out. But I must say that, dude, you took the words out of my mouth. I remember when he did that ESPN, the magazine. He said he wants to win 11 rings. I'm like, homie, can you just play 11 games?
Yeah, I know. It's like, but yeah, all in all, happy birthday, buddy.
Thanks, bro. Cool surprise. It was nice to see Mom on here. I was definitely surprised because I legit thought that it was going to be one of your friends back home. I had no clue that it was Mom. That was a cool little surprise. I think we touched on a lot of stuff tonight that was pretty cool. I like that we all gave a Tom Brady story, a Tom Brady memory. I also like that I explained to the viewing audience why my heart has grown tender to end the suspension of Brett Bandick in the near future. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that Tom Brady retired twice on my birthday. There's some rumors about some events that happened with me on Brett's birthdays. We'll elaborate on that on a future show. But Jesus, Mom with the knockout shot on oh man, dude, that was funny. I got nothing else to say.
I loved it.
That was funny. And I would say that, man, that was a little too harsh, but nah. Once is your stupidity, twice is mine. So we'll leave it like that. Until next time, I am Richie. He is Michael Zappy. And it's been a pretty good birthday. I did 2 shows today. That's always a good thing. And we will be back soon. Franchises episode coming up in the very near future. We're going to give our rankings on the top 10 all-time NFL franchises. We also have an awards show coming up. And something tells me that this LeBron and Mike debate earlier in the week, Zappy wasn't having my take, but it was still good nonetheless. I think we're going to have a great conversation off that, and we're going to include the guys. Until next time, he's Zappy. I am Richie. Thank you so much for watching. Make it a point to please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much, and have a good morning. It is 12:41. We are out.